Hi everyone, my name is Miranda DeChant. The issue that I tackled this semester is the affordable housing crisis around the world. I conducted interviews on it, we have done our own research on it, so today I'm going to inform you on all the things that I've learned and exactly what is affordable housing and how we can go about in finding solutions for the crisis. So to start, I just want to talk about exactly what is affordable housing. The exact definition is affordable housing refers to housing units that are affordable by that section of society whose income is below the median household income. This is important to know actually what the crisis that we are dealing with is and exactly who it's impacting. So what exactly is the problem? What is the affordable housing crisis? To start off, there is not a single county in the United States that can fill 100% of its low-income population's need for safe, affordable housing. This right there is a ginormous problem. That means not a single county out of the millions that are in the U.S. can fill 100% of that population. To go off of that, the real estate market is booming the last couple of years, which is really great for some, but while it's great for some, it's made it even more challenging for impoverished and low-income families to find housing. The real estate boom has essentially just poured gas onto a problem that has been burning for a very long time. The reason that it is such a crisis right now is that because the supply of affordable housing is in such a gap for the demand of affordable housing. So we are in this kind of ginormous gap of lack of affordable housing versus how many people need it. So the figure that I have on this slide shows you it by state. Of course, the big states like California and Colorado, Arizona and Washington, places like them, they have absolutely very few units affordable compared to their renter households. North Carolina is actually doing pretty well on this figure, but that doesn't mean it's doing well overall. The National Multifamily Housing Council estimates that we'll need an additional 4.6 million new apartment households by 2030, or 325,000 apartments annually just to keep up with the demand. So that kind of goes to show the ginormous gap that we're in and how this is becoming such a crisis. The Urban Institute found that 1 in 4 rural renters spends more than 50% of their income on rent, which is absolutely absurd if you think about it. There's no money for bills, to enjoy your life, to buy groceries, doing fun things. They're paying most of their money on rent. To kind of give you a hint at what that is like, to afford a basic 2-bedroom apartment in the U.S., renters need to earn about an average of $20 per hour. And considering that minimum wage is just $7.25 per hour, that means a renter would need to work 112 hours per week to afford a modest 2-bedroom rental. So based off of just these things that I've mentioned, that kind of goes to show the ginormous gap that we have in terms of affordable housing and why this is such a crisis right now. Something really important about the affordable housing crisis is the impact that it has on so many other things around the world. These topics range from poverty, homelessness, household stability, education, economic stability, health, transportation, and employment, and I'm sure there are so many more. But during my research, these are the things that I found have the most impact from the lack of affordable housing. There are 46 million people who live in poverty in the United States, and this number has increased nearly 38% over the last 13 years. In terms of household stability, studies show that access to decent, affordable housing would provide critical stability for the nearly 19 million low-income U.S. households paying over half of their income on housing. For education, of course, housing instability can jeopardize children's performance and success in school. In terms of transportation, this is something that we're seeing right here in Charlotte. The Blue Lynx is something that does not go through low-income neighborhoods, and instead it passes through all of the luxury condos that are being built near Uptown, which is a problem because people who can barely afford their rent obviously cannot afford transportation, so they need something that goes right through their neighborhood, and that would also help the lack of affordable housing. Economic stability. Affordable housing increases the amount that families can put toward other important household needs and savings rather than paying it all on their rent. In terms of health, housing insecurity and homelessness have serious negative effects on child and adult health. Another thing that affordable housing affects probably the most out of all of these subjects is homelessness. As sad as it is, if you cannot afford a house, you cannot afford to live in a house. So homelessness is something that we are seeing rising as the lack of affordable housing gap grows. And this is something that impacts communities, whether it's just locally and globally. The numbers for homelessness are definitely rising. And lastly, employment. Affordable housing increases local purchasing power, boosts jobs creation, and generates new tax revenues. So if there is more affordable housing being built in different places, rurally, there will be new job opportunities, which will help the other factors such as homelessness and poverty, economic stability. In regard to the current policies that are put in place to tackle the affordable housing crisis, there are quite a few. Contemporary housing policies are tremendously diverse, and local governments often have their own variations on federal programs. Overall, they can be grouped into three categories, which are rental assistance, home ownership, and land use and regulatory incentives. Rental assistance program sounds exactly how it is. They are programs that incentivizes the production and maintenance of affordable rental housing stock for low to moderate income individuals and families. Home ownership is sort of the same in the way that assists people. These programs provide low interest loans to prospective homeowners, home ownership counseling, and down payment assistance. Land use and regulatory incentives are probably the thing that we are seeing the most, according to my research. This approach gives private developers guidance in regards to the location, characteristics, and costs of affordable housing developments, such as inclusionary zoning. All three of these categories are really great, and they are all seeing success in cities around the world. They are great policies put into place, but the thing with the affordable housing crisis is that we are not seeing as much progress as we'd like to be with all three of these categories. So after doing some research and interviewing a couple subjects that are familiar with the topic, I found that there are some policies that we could be put into place that are great locally and globally. So all of these policies that I'm going to recommend are great on both levels. The first policy that I recommend is encouraging investments in old buildings. As simple as it sounds, it really is as simple as it sounds. All these people are talking about taking affordable housing and lowering rent on places or building new luxury condos and making them more affordable. But in cities all around the world, there are boarded up buildings, vacant apartments, and old government buildings that are no longer in use. If we find ways to find these spaces and upfit them into affordable housing units, it is much more cost effective as well as less time consuming. Building new condos and lowering rent and getting zoning laws passed and finding permits is so timely and cost effective that finding old buildings in cities is so much better, and it also allows to hold on to that historical value that the building has to the city. The second policy that I would recommend is creating tax incentive for employers. Incentive programs where employers are rewarded with tax benefits and credits for covering a portion of their employees' rents or mortgages. Not only would this help the people that work for the company, but it would help the company overall in alleviating some of the financial burden from the corporations while giving employees a chance to live in affordable housing that's within a reasonable proximity to their place of work. Overall, I think these two solutions that I am providing are almost simple, but they are so simple that they would work. You know, a lot of the problems that are happening with affordable housing is that we're not seeing as much progress as we want to, and that's why we are so woefully behind in the amount of affordable housing that we need and how much we actually have. So if we go ahead and place policies that are quicker and allow us to have more time, I think this will really help the affordable housing crisis, not only in local communities, but globally as well. These are policies that you can create in your local community, and it will transform globally, and it'll be something that cities all around the world follow and take on. So if we continue to do that, I think we will definitely find solution to the affordable housing crisis, and hopefully us millennials will not struggle to find a home.